a previous discussion, I mentioned and explained what real money is and what fiat currency is. Again, fiat currency is something that is exchanged as if it were real money, but it isn't. Fiat means it has value because the government says so, and currency means it isn't real money, it's just used as if it were. That's the system that we have, and again, that's the system that exists all around the world in every country I'm aware of. Today, I want to talk about some ways that a person can accumulate wealth that are done intelligently. There is a balance. Right now, we're in what I believe to be the greatest depression in the history of the world. We're in the deflationary phase of this depression. Right now, the fiat currency we have is the most important single thing we can have. Let's take a look at a couple of ways where you can accumulate fiat currency, because having it gives us great flexibility. As circumstances change, we can quickly use that fiat currency in exchange for something worthwhile. One way to accumulate it is kind of simple. I call it under the mattress. You understand that the phrase under the mattress means to put the money somewhere where it's safe, where people don't know where it is or where they can't get to it. It might be a safe at home, it might be a hole in the ground, it might be hidden somewhere. The point is you need to keep that secret. The value of having some money at home is the protection against a bank failure. The crisis in 2008 and 2009 never ended. It's a deeper and worse crisis now than it was then. It's a continuation of that crisis. It was simply papered over by the Federal Reserve when in secret they created $17 trillion on a computer keyboard and gave that money out to the 12 member banks that own the Federal Reserve and to certain German and French banks that had also made bad bets and lost. So having some money close at hand is a protection against a bank holiday. It's a way to secure a little privacy for your purchases, and it can be of some value. Any given individual needs to decide how much money they might have to have on hand in some form. A second way is the bank on yourself concept, which I find very, very attractive. The bank on yourself concept allows for a place to hold money safely, where it's fully available whenever it's needed without question. You don't have to worry about a bank failure because it's done through mutual insurance companies where the people who own the contracts also own the company. They have the money if you want and need the money for any purpose at all. Their job is to keep the money safe, give you a decent return, make it fully available when it's needed, have complete accounting. If you want to, you can also reduce or eventually eliminate income taxes, which can be a big consideration. And also, there's no limit to what a person can put in or take out, basically. There are no government restrictions, and there's a death benefit. So if something were to go wrong, the family is protected by many, many times the amount of money in the account, and that money comes to the heirs tax-free. Now, that is a way to save fiat money as well. And one of the values there is when we do change from the deflationary depression we're in, we've been in it now 14 years as of this discussion. We may be in it another 5 to 15 years if we look at the Japanese and determine that that has some validity in our situation as well. That could change if we have a war, which our government seems to be anxious to get involved in. Nonetheless, having that money available and having the knowledge about what's developing in the economy gives us the opportunity to move our money quickly to where it will not only protect ourselves, but where we can also make a profit in changing circumstances. Even when things change, even when the changes seem negative, there are always opportunities created as a result. And having the flexibility, the safety of the money, and the ability to move quickly is so vitally important. And to have that backup of the life insurance to protect the family, to pay the debts and what have you in the event of a death could be critically important to everybody. There's a third way to save money, and I want to be clear on this. There's a balance between having money on hand in one form or another. In this next year or so, or maybe few years, we may be in a period of opportunity where we can accumulate actual money over time. If you're not a client, you can listen to this discussion, but don't act on it unless you call me and hopefully become a client, because it's important for you to understand how you go about accumulating real money, which is silver and gold. I'll speak primarily of silver because silver is the best of the two commodities in order to do this. Silver and gold have been real money in every country in the world in all of history wherever silver and gold were available, and the only enduring money in all of history as well. Accumulating silver and gold now with the proper balance. There has to be money available on hand for opportunities and emergencies. There has to be money on hand for changes in the economy and things we need to do to protect ourselves from negative changes that could affect us. But in a proper way, in a proper balance, it's reasonable to start accumulating silver on a appropriate and thoughtful basis. You can call me, and for a given person's goals and situation, I can share how you can do that in the most effective way without risk, because it's not an investment, it's not a gamble, it's simply saving money in real money form. When we finish this discussion today, I'd like to open up the conversation to any of your comments or questions or concerns. But please do not act on the information I'm sharing now unless you're a client and we talk about it. Now, I'm not going to tell you what to do, but I can tell you how to most effectively in your personal situation have a balance between the fiat money and the real money, which is represented primarily by silver. So this is an important issue, and it can be our next step in protecting ourselves from the next phase, when the depression, which is currently deflationary, where money is the most valuable, it'll change to an inflationary depression, where money will become less and less valuable, and we need to take steps not only to protect ourselves, but also to prosper during that period and to protect ourselves and our families from one generation to the other. Remember again, accumulating silver in the proper way, in the proper proportion to cash, is vitally important, and we need to discuss how you do that. One of the dangers is that you could accumulate too much and not have enough cash on hand to handle emergencies and opportunities as they come. And then in which case you'd have to sell the silver, possibly before it really produces the kinds of returns we can expect, because fiat money gradually loses value over time, which means it will cost more and more to buy an ounce of silver. And the reason I recommend silver over gold, though they're both money, is because silver is less expensive, so that an ounce of silver would be a lot easier to buy or to eventually sell than an ounce of gold. A lot less people could afford to buy an ounce of gold than an ounce of silver. So you can make smaller purchases in an effective way than if you're using gold. In addition to that, the probability is that silver will go up much faster and much higher than gold when the turn comes, because even though there's more silver in the world than there is gold, silver is used up. More than half of the silver every year that's mined is used up in industrial processes, and used in such small amounts that it's not retrievable. As a result, basically all the gold in the world that's ever been mined in all of history is still available in coins, in jewelry, and other forms of the sort. But silver is rapidly disappearing because of the way it's being rapidly used in such small amounts. As a result, there's actually more gold available in a refined form, 6 times as much gold available in a refined form as is silver. That makes silver practically more scarce than gold. when something is scarce, the price of it tends to go up as the scarcity increases. As a result, you can expect if gold goes to $5,000 an ounce, silver might go to $300, $400, $500 an ounce, or even more. I don't know how likely it is, but it's even conceivable that silver will at some point be more expensive than gold by reason of the rarity and by the reason of the need in industrial processes for it. In most cases, gold is not a necessary ingredient in any product, with a few exceptions. At this point, I'll open the discussion for your thoughts, comments, questions, concerns. But again, I'll emphasize it's important to talk to me before you make a move, because there's a delicate and important balance between having fiat money, we call it cash on hand, and having real money in some form and in some amount. And we can discuss that. It's different for each individual. And you may be a very wise individual, very thoughtful individual, but you may not recognize the risks and the traps that are possible if you don't fully understand the whole picture. Thanks for listening, and I hope that you found this useful.